All right, you made it. We're here. Concept number 3 is variables on both sides of equals. And I have my first example up here for you. And I need you to be very, very careful about doing this type of equation. You see, one thing you have to know is that you can't leave a side empty. Each side has to have a something there. And what a lot of people automatically try and do is move the lower one over to the bigger one. And in this case, that's not going to work. That's why this is our first example. And the reason why that is because if I move that 3x, this side will be empty. And you never, ever, ever want to leave it empty. So what we have to do is force ourselves to move the 8x to the right to be with the 3x because something has to stay on this side of the equal sign. So this 8x is positive, and I know that because there's no negative in front of that 8. So I have to subtract 8x on both sides. And I'm subtracting 8x because 8 minus 8 is going to give us 0. That's what's going to cancel it so that this side is left with just the constant. And the constant is the minus 35. Don't forget that minus sign. Got to bring that down. And then this is 3. And we're going to do plus negative 8. 3 plus negative 8. Remember, when we're adding, the negative is bigger, so it's going to win. And it's 5 bigger. Okay? So what we did was we moved the 8, because if we move the 8, then there's still going to be an x on the right side of the equals, and there's going to be a constant on the left side of the equals. So constant is just a number. And now we're solving for x, so we have to divide. And the reason why we're dividing, remember, this is a multiplicative inverse. I know there's a negative there, but this is a times sign in between, so you have to do division to get rid of it. All right, so we're going to cancel. The negative divided by negative is positive. 5 divided by 5 is 1. That gives us the x. And then a negative over a negative is a positive, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. So this one was a little bit more complicated. The reason that I wanted to start with this one was because this is a classic problem, and people just get it wrong. So you want to make sure that you're keeping something on each side of the equal sign. Okay? I got one more for you to check out as far as notes go. And that one is number 2. A little bit more complicated. Well, not complicated. It's just long. 8x minus 1 equal sign 23 minus 4x. Okay? Now, this is different. What's different about number 2 is that there's x's on both sides and constants on both sides. And in this case, it doesn't matter what you choose to move first because something will always be there. In number 1, I couldn't move the 3x because then it would be empty. So you want to make sure that if you have a single term, you don't move that single term. If you've got 2 things on each side, it doesn't matter what you move. In number 2, I'm actually going to start with the 4x. And the reason why I'm starting with this 4x is because I'm more comfortable having all the x's on the left side and all the constants on the right side. Now, that doesn't always happen, but if I can help it, I will. So if I'm moving this 4x, because this is a minus 4x, I have to do inverse operation, so I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Do you have to start with the 4x? No, you could start with the 1, you could start with the 23, or you could even move the 8x if you want. In this case, it doesn't matter, but this is the way I'm doing it today. So I have 8 plus 4, and that's going to give me 12x. I'm going to bring down the minus 1, bring down the equals, and bring down the 23. Notice the work I'm showing. Each step, you need to show me your work so that you can get credit for these. Now, here's my 2-step equation. I have that minus 1 now, and I'm going to add 1 on both sides of equals. Inverse operation. The 1's cancel because I have a negative 1 and a positive 1, so that cancels. I'm going to bring down my 12x. I'm going to bring down my equals, and 23 plus 1 is 24. Last step. I need to divide both sides by 12 to get x by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 12. 12 divided by 12 cancels, becomes 1, and 24 divided by 12 is 2. Recap. Pick something and move it using inverse operations. I decided to pick the negative 4 and move it by adding 4 to both sides. Once I did that, I got a 2-step. Then I'm moving the 1 over by adding, and then I'm going to divide using my multiplicative inverse to get x alone. No matter what you move first is going to determine how the rest of your problem plays out. But at the end, no matter what, you should get x equals -2. Your job is to go now and try your 2 practice problems, and I'll see you in a minute.